Okay, Dr. Erica, we are live.
Good evening and welcome to OB's Live. We are back by popular demand. And tonight we're going to just share a little bit with you in regards to TI, Tip Harris, and his checking of his daughter's hymen. But first, we just wanted to just give people a little time to just get on here. So we don't have any music tonight.
Well, Dr.
We're
Erica,
going to just
while we're waiting for them to get on, I can try. You want to see if we can hear
okay,
the clip? Okay,
okay,
let's
sure.
do that. Okay.
Tear down. Let me pull it up. Mm-mm. No, I think it's because I'm using the hotspot on my phone, so I can't pull up Facebook. I can pull it up, maybe put another window. Let's see. Pull it up to OBs. I'm just gonna pull it up, put it minimize here. Okay, yeah, we're there. I don't.
Okay, let me go ahead and decrease. Go back to eCam.
Well, we first wanted to just, hey, Daphne, and we also have Alicia Brown here with us tonight. Hey, Rosemary, thanks for joining us again. And so we just first wanted to just give a moment of silence for the Clark Atlanta student, Miss Alexis Crawford, that was found murdered this past week. She had actually gone missing on October 30th. Well, her family last spoke to her October 30th, and then she was reported missing on November 1st. So, a little background to the story is that she had actually filed a police report against her best friend slash roommate's boyfriend for improper touching. Some kissing and fondling had gone on October 27th. On the 30th, that was the last time her family actually spoke with her. And then, unfortunately, on November 1st, she was found dead. One of the suspects actually or allegedly led the investigators to her body, and currently the roommate and her boyfriend are currently in custody, and they're actually facing it's called murder with malice. And so what that actually would be is punishable by death or carries imprisonment for life with or without parole. So again, we just want to just give a moment of silence for Miss Alexis Crawford, Clark Atlanta University student. Very, very sad. Okay. So we're actually doing a moment of silence. So I know there's a couple of people that said they had no sound. They said it's no sound for Dr. Stacy. So just wanted to check. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Okay, can y'all hear me now? So sorry.
You sound like a
Because
Verizon commercial. What's up, girl?
can you hear me now? I was just to let y'all know, I was trying to do a little experiment because I want to show you all a clip about our conversation tonight, and I didn't want it to give double. So I think what I'll do, Dr. Erica, and then since you're able to see what people are saying, when you give me the go ahead, I'm gonna try to show the clip, and if they, we'll see how the clip goes, and if the clip doesn't go well, then we'll just do the audio recording that you wanted to show. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So again, thanks for joining us. It looks like they are saying that we may have a little delay in it as well. So again, when we're dealing with technology, unfortunately, that's one of the downsides of that, of us being in two different locations. But again, Sharon, thanks for joining us. Hey, Shaquita, thanks for joining us. Hi, Julia, thanks for joining us. We have some good old faithfuls here. All right. So again, we're going to just talk about T.I. tonight and his discussion in regards to his daughter's virginity and the fact that her hymen is still intact at the age of 18. Actually, a guest on the Ladies Live podcast on November 5th. And at that point, somebody just texted me silly. At that point, they had actually asked. Okay.
They just threw you off. What
they really did. I'm going to share this with everybody because I don't know. Do you guys remember how, like, in high school, sometimes this is totally random, but in high school, how you would have the picture where all the girls wore the same shawls? So like you in your high school off the shoulder shirt. So I guess you got to pull it down a little bit more so that'll really make it like.
Go on, Dr. Erica.
So, collarbones on fleek, baby. All right, is that what you want? I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you tonight. But anyway, we're talking about T.I. and the fact that he's checking his daughter's hymen and how they go to the gynecologist annually. And so we're going to just play a little clip, and then we want to get some feedback in regards to what you all think, and then we'll give some feedback also just in regards to how we would address this as gynecologists.
Right. Now, before I do this, Dr. Erica, ask Rosemary or someone who was on the show before I'm going to ask y'all this, and then Dr. Erica, you tell me what their feedback is because I'm not able to see. I'm trying to close a few things so that my connection gets faster. But when I showed the clip earlier with T.I., could they hear anything? Or was it just when I was talking that they couldn't hear? Let's see if they give you any feedback on that. Please.
So in regards to sound, were you all able to hear Dr. Stacy at all during tonight prior to the last 3 minutes? Prior to the past 3 minutes, were you able to see the video or hear anything?
Okay. So I think I'm going to...
Thanks for joining us. Hey, Erica, thanks for joining us.
Let's see. I'm going to try it, Dr. Erica, okay?
Good haters. So I have the audio here if you want me to play it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So we do have some audio of the, just a snippet from the Ladies Live show here. I'm going to just go ahead and just play it.
Yearly trips to the gynecologist to check.
Oh, you have it there?
I can hear it. I don't know. Are you all hearing it? Or are you hearing double? Or that's what I'm trying to figure out.
So,
I can hear it faintly.
Let me try to turn it up. Let's see.
It wasn't too, but it might have been after that 16th birthday. And then what we do Like, right after the birthday.
Okay, so I'm gonna start it over. Okay.
So have you had the sex talk with your daughters?
Have I? We go.
Which, by the way, your daughters are so beautiful. So I'm sure you're very handsome. And like, Elder's 18, so she definitely knows sex.
See, this is the same.
Deja, right? She's 18,
Yes,
right?
Jay's 18, just graduated high school now, and she's attending her first year of college, figuring it out for herself. And yes, now we have a conversation. We have a yearly trip to the gynecologist to check her height. So,
Do you go? Somebody check on Deja. She's a prisoner.
So it's one time. Now for her 16th birthday. What we do, like right after the birthday, we celebrate.
We go and check her hymen after.
Usually like the day after the party, she's enjoying the gifts. I put a sticky note on the door. Guy knows. Tomorrow, 9:30.
This is great.
And so look, right? So we'll go. You know what I mean? We'll go and sit down. We'll sit down, and the doctor will come and talk. And doctors maintain a high level of professionalism. He's like, well, sir, I have to. In order for me to share information, I say, Deja, they want you to sign this.
Right now. I need to know if your hymen's still there.
So we can share information. You have anything that you would not want me to know? Oh, okay. See, Doc, no problem.
You are the worst.
So then, right? Then it comes and say, okay, well, I just want you to know that there are other ways besides sex. The hymen can be broken.
Right.
Like bike riding,
Really?
athletics, horseback riding.
That's aggressive. That is
Just other forms of athletic physical activity.
Is she an athlete?
No.
All right. So there's actually one comment. Someone stated that Daphne stated that would be very embarrassing for your father to put you out there like that. Has anyone here ever had their father attend a gynecologist visit with them? I know I haven't.
Okay, and if we'll get into this later, but if it's not your father, has any male come with you, husband, anything like this, but definitely has your father, anyone, any male come to your visits with you?
And so what are you all's thoughts in regards to the hymen, basically the virginity exam? I know some people probably said they were having the difficulty hearing the exam or hearing the actual video, but just to give a quick synopsis, T.I. was on the Ladies Live podcast earlier this week, and they actually asked him if he had the sex talk with his daughter. During that time, he actually stated that he has indeed had the sex talk with her. Not only has he had the talk with her, but he also visits a gynecologist with her on an annual visit, and he actually will go in, ask if he can actually get the results expeditiously after the hymen is checked to see if it's intact. One of the things that T.I. did mention, though, on the podcast is that the physician actually educated him in regards to some reasons that the hymen may not be present in young women. The fact that, we're all very active these days. So if she's an avid athlete, if she's horseback riding
tampons,
tampons, so the hymen may not be in place. And so again, this is kind of like an outdated way to test for virginity. So I just wanted to get you all's feedback in regards to that. So some of the women are actually responding, stated that no, their fathers have never attended any gynecology visits with them. No, they're all no's so far. What about a significant other or husband? Because I know I've had issues but I've had women that come to their annual exams, and their husband comes, and he sits like right over my shoulder, and he like watches me do the entire pap smear.
Stares down the speculum. Don't be that husband. But yeah, I have seen that. So,
and I think it's great to go and be supportive, but I think, a lot of times I'll even have them where they want to come in, they want to see you put the IUD in, or I think for OB visits, I think it's great. I think it's great when dads are present, they are and supportive. However, sometimes I think that sometimes a certain level of privacy should be warranted, especially like in a case like with a teenager. I think for me personally, I think that this is a time where I actually educate not only the family but also the patient, just in regards to the fact that, like the doctor stated to TI, that the hymen could be not present because of various reasons. But I think this is really a time to talk more about open communication and trust, like really sitting down with them and doing some lessons on anatomy in regards to the hymen, and also just talking about just having that open level of communication. I was actually at an event tonight, and this topic actually came up, and one woman actually, she thought it was a good thing that TI was actually going to the visits, because she feels like it's very difficult to communicate to millennials. And so in order to, she's like, she doesn't know if she can have that level of trust with her child. So she feels like she would rather go and find out from the doctor for sure, if the hymen is present or not. And then again, I just talked about the whole biological background, the scientific background, the fact that the hymen is not present in a lot of women. I mean, it's, I know they used to have that, what was it, the white sheet test on the night, your wedding night. If, you put the sheet out in your first intercourse act, and that if the sheet wasn't bloody, then that means that woman was tainted. And so again, in this day and age, really, I mean, this is an outdated practice that not only Planned Parenthood is saying that we need to eliminate, as well as the World Health Organization.
Right. So it looks like Daphne Terrell said, is that not a HIPAA law? Is that not a HIPAA law that says after a certain age he cannot get info? And what I tell people in this situation is you have to be really careful, especially if you are, so you want to read your paperwork on your first visit. Most people will give you a clause about HIPAA and what that means. However, with a lot of families, they share information on their insurance. So I remember, because I used to work for Blue Cross Blue Shield, and one of the things that we could not really prevent is if we do send PHI, which is personal health information, to your home, oftentimes you don't know who's opening that information. So I think it's safe to assume that whomever's in your house, well, whomever you share insurance with, they may be able to get your personal health information. However, yes, the doctor, it's important for us to only share the information with the patient and whom the patient designates as the person they can share information with. Oftentimes you'll have like an emergency contact or someone that you'll designate at your physician's office who you can share information with, and that person will be able to get the information. Now I have to see what Dr. Erica thinks as well, but for me, I've had time and time again timeless opportunities where I'll have a mother and a daughter come in, and the daughter will, you'll ask her a series of questions, she'll answer one way, and I specifically always ask the mother to leave the room, especially if the child is 14 or over, oftentimes when it's time for a physical exam. And at that time I ask the daughter, is there anything that you did not feel free to say, or would you change any of your answers? And I would say oftentimes they will change their answers. So I think it's a good thing that you have that relationship with your doctor where you can express your true feelings, and possibly in the absence of your parents, so that you can get the most updated and the most pertinent information. But just don't assume just because you take your child to the doctor's office that you're going to get all of the information that you may want and it be truthful.
One of the things that you're also dealing with is the fact that when a young woman comes in to see the doctor, let's say she's coming in for like birth control, or she's coming for a pregnancy test or testing for sexually transmitted infection, that information does not have to be disclosed to the parent. I know here in the state of Illinois that doesn't have to be disclosed. And one of the things that I usually try to do, like with Dr. Stacy, I'll have the moms or dad, because I do have dads sometimes that come in who are very involved with the patients. I'll have them step out. I'll usually talk to the patient alone. And then if she would like to have the parent come in, then I have the parent come in and we all have a conversation. So that would be a time to maybe discuss anatomy. I mean, sometimes it's like you're not only the physician, but sometimes you're like the counselor. And so you're the liaison between the two, just in regards to just helping them open those lines of communication. And I just think that we need to have more open communication in our families so that we can prevent, some of our teen pregnancies and sexually transmitted infections, because a lot of our teens are getting their information from the internet and from friends. And so I think it's really great if you can have that open line of communication with your mom or your dad.
And we have a comment here from Chiquita Carey. She said, that's his child and we cannot control how he raises his kids. I'm happy that at least she can talk to him about sex. If she was sneaking around and being loose, we would blame her parents. Okay. Now, does everyone know what the hymen is? If I have one person that says no or they want to see pictures, I'm going to show you pictures. But if you don't say, because I know a lot of y'all are nurses and in the medical field, and doctors. But Dr. Erica brought up good points. We try to, I don't call it divide and conquer. But, let's talk about what Miss Chiquita said. Would we, if she did come up and was a teen pregnancy, would we blame TI? So should we commend him for doing that? Or are there other ways, of course, to do that? And, one of the things that she said was she at least they're talking about sex. And then we also know that there's articles out there that says the TI knows that his 15-year-old son is having sex. So there's double standards. Is that fair? We have a 15-year-old boy and an 18-year-old girl. And so society has a lot of double standards there. So is that necessarily right? I don't think so.
We're not here to make T.I. into a pariah. I'm not here to judge him or his parenting skills. And so again, there was one other comment from Daphne who stated that she actually has a good relationship with her daughter, and that she's basically been very open in regards to her sexual activity, often too open. Mm-hmm. And that's really great that you have that communication level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, Dr. Erica, do you feel like, so let's say, and I'm saying TI because this was the instance, but let's say a father was bringing his daughter to the doctor's office and, his goal was to make sure she wasn't having sex. Do you feel that if she was having sex, then that's going to make her more or less apt to be able to talk about STIs and talk about maybe birth control? Do you think that could be a hindrance?
If the dad was present, you're stating?
Right. So I'm saying, basically out of the conversation that we got with on the podcast was that he was making sure she was a virgin. But you can't always be there 100% of the time when your child is there. Is there an open discussion about, okay, this is how you protect yourself against sexually transmitted diseases, and this is how you protect yourself against pregnancy? I feel like that's just as important as maybe what he sees himself doing in terms of protecting her virginity. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I would use that as a time. So that's when I utilize that time to actually go into a whole discussion. They come in saying we want to check the hymen. Mm-hmm. I use that as an opportunity to talk about sexually transmitted infection and pregnancy and how to prevent it. And we talk about condom use, and the mom is present, sometimes the dad is present, or sometimes all three, or sometimes just myself and the patient. So I like to just use that as an opportunity just to get the lines of communication open, because I just think that in so many families people talk about sex.
Exactly. Christine says, I heard his 13-year-old son was having sex and he was okay with that. That was shared on his reality show. They say boys will be boys. I can't say I necessarily agree with that, but I'm sure she's going to go on to she's going to go on to college and things of that sort. And do you want her going on to, let's not use her. So a lot of 18-year-old women will soon be going on to college. I think it's important that they have that conversation. Okay, you can get birth control, but unless it's a condom or a diaphragm or something like that, a female condom, it doesn't protect you against STIs. I know for me personally, I like my teens before they go on to college to get some type of long-acting contraception. My contraception of choice for my teens going to college is Nexplanon. What's yours, Dr. Erica?
I am more of an IUD fan. I am not a fan of Nexplanon because of the breakthrough bleeding and the weight gain associated with it.
Okay.
So I am a fan of the 5-year progestin only IUD.
Now, if you have, let's say you have a virgin, do you still try to do your IUD? Okay. Yeah. Do you use like a Skyla or?
No, I use Mirena.
Really? Okay. Okay. You know, a lot of my teens are like, you're not putting anything in my uterus.
So would you rather have the IUD or the baby? Then that's been my question. Or it's like, birth control will make me fat. I'm like, so does pregnancy. So
right.
It's real talk.
Right. Exactly.
So again, Daphne stated that boys are raised differently when it comes to sex. And I completely agree with that. And I was actually talking to someone this afternoon about it. I don't know if she's still on the line here, but she had a comment where she felt like the comment was something to the effect that we raise our sons. What was it? We love our daughters and raise our sons, something to that effect. But basically have this double standard in regards to how, boys are looked at. Or let's say, what if it was a boy that's, is there the male version of there's no, how we have everything that's contiguous with the
the analogs,
right? And women, what would be the analog, I guess, of the hymen in the male? Or let's say if it was a male that was having sex with a man, so would you go and check your son for that? And so again, I just think that we just need to have the conversations. And so to me personally, I feel like going to the doctor and having this virginity exam, I think it's a bit much. I think it's a conversation that needs to start in the household. But I'm glad that they do come because it gives me the opportunity to actually get those lines of communication open with the patients.
I'm going to try to bring this home. I read this as well. I read an article or a comment from someone that said, if you have a problem with TI, having his daughter check for a hymen, then you should also have a problem with men getting a circumcision, a newborn getting a circumcision. And I was like, okay, what? And she was a very feminist person that, thought that circumcisions were unnecessary. But
maybe female circumcision, or let's say if there was a such thing as if people were having like a hymenectomy, which sometimes some women do need a hymenectomy. So there's issues that some women will have an issue where the hymen is still present and they're having issues where they can't have a regular menstrual cycle. But I really don't see the connection there at all. So Latasha states that he's parenting his daughter from his own behavior with women. If he were a better man, he might be able to be comfortable with trusting her. Oh, it popped away.
No, you keep going. Says comfortable with trusting her decisions regarding her own body and privacy. Miss Latasha, I'm going to need you to talk more about that because I'm not even going I ain't going to touch that with a 20-foot pole. But no, I get your point. I think what it comes down to is embarrassing. Why would you even... If you want to do that, don't go on social media and express that. I think that is 100% embarrassing for her. Can you imagine how this has affected her and changed her life? I just think that's really, really I think that's very unacceptable. I would never want my father to do that because I think first of all, when you're 18, you're coming into yourself and you're learning how to define yourself. Yes, you're still, a teenager. However, you want your parents to be able to see you as a human being and someone who is entering womanhood or entering manhood. And so for him to say that on social media, I think that's very, disrespectful, and I don't want to, like you said, point him out, but anyone. I think that any parent, when they're expressing things about their child, especially at that age, they have to realize how their child is now becoming, a singular person going into the next stage of their life. And so a goal is not to embarrass them.
I think also some of it too is that the fact is that, it's not uncommon. I probably would get a handful of these, every year, where the mom or dad, usually the mom is coming in asking for this checking of the hymen. The thing is that they don't have the avenue to actually put that out there. So if they put it in their social media, maybe, a couple hundred of their friends might see it versus
exactly.
I have an audience where you can actually reach millions. Like this is made like national news. And so really, I mean, maybe he's protecting her virginity further, because at this point, what man is going to want to pursue her at this point, just knowing that, I don't know, I just think that the line has been blurred just in regards to that relationship. But I mean, I really wish that there was I would really love to hear the point of view of some men folk. I actually talked to my husband about this, and I was trying to get him on the show tonight, but he graciously declined.
Oh,
and I'm not going to share his comments, but he's in agreement. He thinks it's well, I'm sharing them now, I guess, but he thought that it was a good thing, because he feels like that it's great that a man is stepping up and going to the gynecologist with his daughter, because like most men would not do that. Now I'm like, I could see it, him maybe going to the doctor with her, but I think asking about the hymen, I'm like, I think that's where I would draw the line. So we agreed to disagree on that.
One of the things he said, and I was trying to pick this apart, was, I believe one of the podcast ladies said, well, isn't that like a violation of her privacy? Or he was stating that the gynecologist does ask to find out if she's okay with that. And so he verbally says, daughter, is there anything that you don't want me to hear? Or are you okay with me hearing anything? And then she said, to me, that's like an intimidation clause there as well, because you shouldn't, I mean, if there is something she wants to talk to her gynecologist about, let's just say, I hope he stepped out of the room, right, Dr. Erica?
Hopefully. There are a few more comments. I don't know if you can see them, Dr. Stacey, because it's like I'll see a couple, but it's like once they start scrolling, I can't see the entire. There was a comment from Shaquita stating definitely how he treats his sons versus his daughters is not fair. However, teen pregnancy falls primarily on the girl, so he has to protect her. And so someone commented, why not at a certain age put her on birth control if you're worried about her virginity? So that's really, I think, this whole thing just in regards to the hymen. I think having the conversation also too about birth control. And I think some parents feel that if you put your daughter on birth control, like you're giving them a license to have sex. But I think that it's a good thing to do, because if they choose to have sex, then they're protected at least from the pregnancy if they're taking it correctly.
Right, and I think the number is 9 out of 100 for birth control pills in the first year of use. 9 women out of 100 will get, if you're using it, typically, if you're using it correctly every day, 9 women will still get pregnant. So it's not 100%. And I do agree with you, Dr. Erica. I think some girls, when they get on a birth control pill, they're like, oh, hey, I don't have to use a condom. I'm not going to get pregnant. But
no, that's not what I said. I said I didn't say I thought that. I said I feel that some parents may be leery about starting birth control because they feel like they're giving their child a license for sex.
Right.
So I think it's important just to make sure they're protecting themselves. And so, as when you have that education in regards to whether it be long-acting reversible contraception like an IUD or Dequanon, or putting them on the pill, and also just recommending they also do a condom for backup.
Right.
Shaquita stated that, meanwhile, her mother hit her and her brother equally. Whenever she found out a teen in the family was pregnant, that was her birth control. That was our birth control. That's equal rights.
And she also said, definitely how he treats his sons versus his daughters is not fair. However, teen pregnancy falls primarily on the girl, so his has protect her.
So he has to protect her, yep.
So he has to protect her. Teen pregnancy.
And so again, I think we need to, I know it does end up being the woman's responsibility, but I think that we need to, again, start having those conversations with our sons about sex and using a condom and knowing how to, to strap it up and not thinking that they're too big for a condom and things like that. So I should have my condom out tonight and did a demo.
Right? I was at some store the other day, and I think it was like Walgreens near where I live. They don't even lock the condoms up anymore. They used to lock them up. Now they're like, here, Right? Then they used to lock them up where you had to ask the pharmacist or someone to unlock them. They were just out on the floor, which I was happy about.
I don't know.
Am I aging myself? Maybe they don't do that anymore. Okay, I think I got caught up on the comments, but
okay.
Yeah, so I just and I part of me just really really wants to talk about this part about the male getting a much longer stick and allowing them to be more sexually promiscuous and possibly irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I quite honestly believe that, because if you ask, for the most part, if you ask a boy or a man now when he lost his virginity versus a girl, you're going to get a lot younger age. And so I think that I think we have to be just as stringent on our boys as we are with our girls, but no one probably agrees with me, but
but then also I think too, like, it's also the whole like honesty factor in it too. So mm-hmm. I think that as women, sometimes losing your virginity young, I mean, I think people often wonder what other people think about them. I know mm-hmm. There's like this old joke where they say, like, if a male tells you how many partners he's had, you should divide it by 3. And if it's a woman, multiply by 3. So I think sometimes people may not be honest and forthcoming. I think the youngest patient that I've actually delivered, she was 12 with first baby. And so I just think that, again, like, we have to parent, we have to treat our males and females equally. Let's see here.
You see what Daphne said?
She said, your Planned Parenthoods have bowls of condoms and lubes and colorful stuff. I thought it was candy. To my surprise.
I was trying to keep a straight face while you was talking, Dr. Erica.
Shaquita stated that we also need to allow girls to come into their sexuality like we allow boys. When boys pleasure themselves, we say boys will be boys, but we label girls as fast at that same age. I totally agree with that.
I had, when I was in residency, I practiced in Mississippi for a few months, and we did a rotation out there. And girls, I mean, if you had someone come in over 25 pregnant, it was like, so it was a norm for like 14s and 16-year-olds. And I asked, I said, why do y'all have such a high teen pregnancy rate? And they said, well, there's really nothing else to do. And this was in Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I lived in rural Arkansas in high school.
How was that?
The population was probably 1,000, but it was a very high teen pregnancy rate. And at that time, it's like if you got pregnant, like, you couldn't go to school with everybody else. It's like you would go on homeschool, homebound, I think is what they used to call it. And so once you started showing, they got you out of there so that I guess the other people, wouldn't see, and you would just come and, get your homework, or you could come for an exam or something like that. But it's like, really, they kept you segregated from the rest of the student population.
Not anymore. Not anymore. We used to have like a whole, I think they used to go to school in the daytime, but it was a whole different building. Mm-hmm. And so, it was quite the same. Okay, so we read that comment from Chiquita.
Christine mentioned that it's often treated as a badge of honor. So, like, the number of, like, they always talk about, like, the number of notches on the belt. And so, again, one of the things that I talk about, too, with my girls when they come in, I like to give them this analogy. So when you're having sex with that one individual, you're not only having sex with them, you're having sex with everybody that he slept with, as well as everybody that those people have slept with. So I'm like, well, you may be getting into the bed with 100 people. And so, again, just really, I mean, protection is key. And then also, knowing that condoms are not 100%. Birth control is not 100%. I always talk about the safest sex being no sex.
You made me think of some. I remember having a conversation with someone who was about 18, and they had a boyfriend who was had been released from jail and was having sex with at least 3 people. So you look at the 3 people that he's having sex with now, the people that he's had sex with in the past, and I just have to be very honest with this, but a lot of times when you have men who have been incarcerated, they have had relations with other men oftentimes, and so you open up that whole avenue as well. So just really, really being careful and protecting yourself is very important.
It's like Latasha had a comment about communication being key with both daughters and sons. The issue is being responsible with your bodies and not being destructive. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
This is true.
So so I just wanted to maybe pick everybody's brain. Just I know, like in regards to Shaquita's comment about allowing girls to come into their sexuality like we allow boys. Like, I mean, what if we had like a party or something where it's like, like the Latinas, they have a party like a quinceañera. So maybe there should be a party, like let's say, I don't know, when you're maybe 10, because it seems like people are starting to go into puberty a lot earlier these days. So maybe at 10, we have a big party for girls, and it's like we talk about like sexuality, we talk about like your period, we talk about some of these topics, like, if parents are willing to, let them talk about it, because especially if they're not getting it in the home, I think those conversations need to be occurring someplace, in a safe place where you're actually getting good information and not misinformation.
Dr. Erica, what was the conversation like for you, maybe when you were growing up, about sex, starting your period? Did you get a lot of instruction at home about that?
I did, and then we actually had classes. There was actually, I think around 4th grade, it was we had a class. It was a class where it was like the girls had a class and the boys had a class, and we had to watch these videos or whatever. Well, it was probably VHS or something back then. You watched a video and it basically talked about it, and then each girl got like this little like pad. It was like started with like a pad in it and some ibuprofen, and I don't know, it was something else.
Oh, really?
And so I remember that, and I was like, I can't wait for my period to start. And I was like, when I finally got it, I was like, this is that. And so I, like they couldn't swim because it's that time of the month or whatever. And so a lot of people would be on their period like every week. I'm like, okay. But what about you, Stacey, Dr. Stacey? How was your experience?
Well, okay, I think we did have a sex education class, but in terms of starting the period, look, my mother was a nurse. Okay. We talked about everything, but we did not talk about that. Okay, so no one wants to hear my story about how I was raised in this very, very, very strict religious home. But I mean, sex was nothing that was ever discussed. I don't know how I got here. Okay. But in terms of periods, I think my mother may have given me, the options, sanitary napkin, things like that. But no, there was absolutely no discussion. So you're right. Whomever said, let's celebrate this occurrence, let's give information, and like you said, maybe we should make some type of event, something. But I think there is a book out there or a video helping young girls. Have you seen that? It kind of makes a parody of starting your period, and I have to find it. We'll have to. I think it's on YouTube and just something, because we had no instruction whatsoever.
So Daphne said that there is actually a ceremony where girls pledge their virginity to their parents, and they get pins or rings to abstain.
Oh, okay.
So look
That's
at
good.
that.
Okay.
See.
Let me see what Latasha said.
Okay.
She said, I fully intend to celebrate my daughter's monarchy, medical field, and discuss sexuality openly with her. Okay, so she's going to discuss the menstrual cycle and sexuality. And see, Latasha's a nurse, so that makes sense. But I think what's really interesting is there's professionalism, there's spiritualism, so our religion, overshadowed the professional part, unfortunately. And that could have went either way, and I think it but yes, so that is excellent, Latasha.
So where do you think did you get your education like when you took your first biology class, or just like this was pre-internet?
You mean how did I get my let's see. Okay, no, quite honest. Okay, some things we just can't say because we're recording, but I will say that when let me see how much of this I can tell. I listen to people outside of the realm of, in terms of sex, I listen to people outside of the realm of my church. Okay. And learn things. Now, I carried the virginity on to college, so I don't want to hear y'all's mouth. But I did learn from people outside of the church and outside of my school, because, it was so taboo and it was so negative according to our church. Now, when I went to undergrad, I was actually, you're gonna die, I was a they call them a TA, teacher's assistant for human sexuality, and of course I went to Indiana University Bloomington, which had the Kinsey Sex Institute.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, I was fascinated. I was sitting there and read books for hours thinking, what? So I was educated.
Revolution. Okay.
Right. I was educating myself and then teaching, other undergrad students. So that's where a lot of my information came from. But yeah, it definitely was not at home.
Hands-on? No.
Yeah. What you say?
Was there any hands-on teaching? No, I'm messing with you.
And if you don't know what the Kinsey Institute is, you should look it up. And I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, it's a plethora of information, evidence-based medicine, and all of that.
There was actually a TV show based on that. That
really?
used to come on Showtime.
Okay.
The Institute, and it was set like in the 1900s. Whenever that initial study came out.
Mm-hmm. Man, they had a whole library at IU. It's huge. Daphne said, "Not sure, but I've heard of it. Maybe it's some form of religious ceremony." Now, what was? That was the what you said about the menstrual cycle. What'd you say, Dr. Erica? You said there was something telling young girls about their menstrual cycle. That's what she was referring to.
Oh, we were just talking about having a party to do that. And so,
okay.
Let's see, a couple years back, she was educated before her cycle came 2 months ago. Oh, she got a cycle. Okay, I bought my oldest daughter the What Happening to My Body for Girls.
Okay. Dr. Erica, we need to come up with our own book or video.
I like that.
Okay. That's
Top
awesome.
10 things I wish I had known about this menstrual cycle.
Right. Speaking of,
That's super important too. Like Christine said, that she talks openly with her daughter about her cycle, emotions, hygiene, etc. And I think that is key. Actually, I had the opportunity to sit on a panel a couple of months ago here, and it was on period poverty and how here in Chicago there are so many women, even girls in the high schools, who are going without like pads and tampons, or like they'll supply them in the bathroom, and then it's like they're actually going to Amazon every month to purchase them. And then as far as like the hygiene, and so I just think that's something like we have to start educating. We have to educate our kids. I mean, it's great that, you can get it from your teachers, you can get it from your doctor, but I think that a lot of it needs to start in the home. And that's great, Christine, that you're doing that with your girls.
You made me think. There's a girl that I follow on Facebook, and it's not for teens, but she does collect donations for pads and things like that for homeless women, because it's a huge global issue in terms of maintaining hygiene. And if you don't have money for food, you're definitely not going to have money for female hygiene.
So one of the spokespersons at the event, actually, she's also a physician, asked Dr. Renee, and she's actually the spokesperson for Thinks Panties. And so those are the panties that you can just wear. Instead of wearing a pad, you just wear the panties. And so you just wash them out every day, or you wear them for a few hours and you wash them. Also, they can also get donations from the Diva Cup, and there's some other different Diva Cups for people who aren't familiar with the Diva Cup.
Yeah.
We should probably bring those on. Maybe when we talk about our topic in January, we can bring Diva Cups on and maybe explore them. They're expensive too, but I guess when you think about the price that you're paying for pads and tampons, I guess it probably equals out, and the fact that it's reusable. But it's a reusable, what would you call it? Like a cup that basically captures your menses each month. And actually, I'm just interested, like if anyone uses them that's here, just like, what do you do when you're in public? Like that's my question. If you're in a public bathroom space and you have to remove it and change it, like I'm just kind of like the hand thing. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how does that work if you're not in like a bathroom where there's a stall and you're removing that Diva cup?
Now wait a minute, Dr. Erica, you said there's not a stall?
I'm saying if you're in a stall that doesn't have like a hand washing sink inside where you have to go out and like wash your hands and all of that. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm sure you have to like clean it like in between use. Like if you're in there, I'm just trying to figure out exactly how that whole thing works. So if anyone's using it, I'd love to learn more. Latasha says she just learned about menstrual cups 3 to 4 years ago, and they are a game changer.
I mean, is it okay? This is you said if you have to rinse it out though. Do you have to rinse it out? I mean, if you empty the blood out, because I was gonna say it's probably no different than getting urine on your fingers. Not that I know anything about that, but no, we got to do a show and tell. You almost.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Let's see. So Christine says she had her friend had one. It got stuck, and she had to remove it for her. She doesn't use them anymore. Yeah, I had someone that came in. Was it as bad as the tampon, Christine?
Oh God!
Those tampons. Oh my goodness! Like, just check for your strings, ladies. Check for those strings. There was a patient one day who was in for IUD, and she actually had a Diva cup. It was like it wasn't a Diva cup. It was some form of that, and so it had been in there for several months. So she came to get the IUD, and I'm just looking like, okay, I don't see your cervix. I don't see a cervical opening. And then like I'm doing an exam, and she was like, oh yeah, but I forgot that Diva cup in there from last month or month before last. And I'm like, oh yeah.
So, was it like the retained tampon? Was it like that?
It wasn't. No, the smell wasn't as bad. Not as bad.
I think that yeah. Latasha said she loves hers. She can wear it for up to 12 hours, so it's usually not even an issue. So maybe she doesn't have to change it, usually in public bathrooms. But I'm sure some people can't use theirs for 12 hours. And I think you read Christine's comment. My friend had one, it got stuck, and they had to remove it. She doesn't use them anymore. Now, for anyone, because I know we have a lot of nurses and doctors online, but I used to have, in my old practice, this was so hilarious to my assistant. She was a nurse as well. She said, Dr. Stacy, she said, I'm fine, but if you have a retained tampon, you on your own. I can't come in the room. I was like, wait a minute, you're going to leave the doctor in there by themselves? But so if anyone doesn't know, if you do not remove your tampon within a normal amount of time, and you have to, I've had people who come in for retained condoms and things of this sort, but tampons, they can basically, the aroma, the smell can take over the entire office. So it is not very pleasant. So if that does ever happen to you, be aware of that. Back then, what? Go ahead, Doctor. I'm getting that you're frozen. Let me see what someone else is saying. Hold on.
Oh no, I was just reading a comment, looking at a comment there.
Okay, I got you.
The Daphne stated that she put the cup in the 90s movie, or was it on the diagram? It was in the 90s. Because Diva cups are fairly new. Okay.
Okay, hey, Dr. Erica. So I think that the screen is frozen for everyone. I don't know if my side is frozen, but I know your side is frozen for me. So
you were frozen, Dr. Stacy, for a second. But I can still hear you.
Okay. You're still frozen for me, but I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you for a while. Okay. Well, I mean, I think we've talked about a lot. We can wrap this. We've talked for almost an hour. We can wrap this one up. And so, initially we said we weren't going to come back until January, and then this issue came out. And Dr. Erica and I were like, oh, we got to talk again. So,
feel free to tune in. We want to just pop back in and talk about the TI issue. Yes.
So I think that I'm getting a really, really bad connection. But Christine Taylor did say, "Can you discuss fibroids
yes,
one day?"
Yes, we can absolutely discuss fibroids, Christine.
Now, because we're gonna have our big, but we don't want to tell y'all when. But that's gonna be our really big topic. Okay, we're gonna surprise y'all. So we really have to have y'all here. Oh, I think Dr. Erica, is that you calling me back? Okay.
I don't know what's going on with this.
Okay. So let's go ahead and wrap it up, and then thank you, ladies, for calling in. Sorry I didn't get any male participation. Thank you, Christine Taylor. We will definitely talk about that, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And like I said, we dedicated today's topic today's talk show to Alexis Crawford. And please go love on your friends, your sisters, your children, everyone, and protect each other. Okay. All right, Dr. Erica, you got music to go out?
I actually do not, and I'm not sure if they heard the Alexis Crawford, because I think they were saying that it was muted in the beginning. So just in case if anyone didn't catch, Alexis Crawford was a Clark Atlanta University student who was allegedly murdered by her roommate and her roommate's boyfriend. She was fondled and kissed by the boyfriend on October 27th. On October 30th, that was the last time her family heard from her. And unfortunately, on November 1st, her body was found. So again, we want to just go out with a moment of silence for Miss Alexis Crawford. Again, ladies, be safe. Be safe if you're out here dating on these different websites and things like that. Just be safe. And again, is a lot of times our stories are not seen in the media. So again, just each one reach out and touch and love on each other.
I hope I spellman right. So I'm just going into all of the students at these schools that we just have to keep lifted. Okay.
And then I'll also be back with an update at some point with Miss Kiana Smith. I touched base with her this week, and I just wanted to have everybody just lift her up in prayer. She was not able to do her chemotherapy this past week due to her white count being too low. And so just prayers that her white count is boosted so that she can continue with her chemotherapy. So she's had 6 rounds of chemo so far. She's supposed to have 14. So she's almost at the halfway point. So again, just prayers to Ms. Kiana Smith up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that her white count increases by next Wednesday.
Okay. Oh, I think I spelled her name wrong, but okay. We'll be praying for Kiana.
Alrighty. Good night.
Okay. Good night, everyone.